welcome to another episode of the Just Some Magic podcast. I am your host, Morgan, and here on Just Some Magic, we like to share people's most magical moments in and out of the theme parks. But today we have somebody who has been a part of another Disney podcast called Dream a Fantastic Dream. Today we have Jerad. Hi, Jerad. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing great. I'm fresh, I'm ready, I'm prepared.
Yes. By the way, you have a very great podcasting voice. It's very soothing.
Thank you. I get that from my grandpa all the time. He's like, you should do
Oh,
radio. I'm like, I don't want to
you
do radio, but okay. Some audiobooks.
yes, some audiobooks. That would be so great. But anyway, back on track. Would you like to give us a little teaser of what your magical moment is going to be today?
Oh, yes, of course. My teaser is it's from when I was probably maybe 7 years old, and
Oh,
it completely revolves around my mother. So she'll probably listen to
oh,
this because she also listens to all of the Dream of Fantastic Dream episodes. Um, and it'll make her cry because I know it'll make her cry.
oh, I love that. We love a supportive mother.
hmm
Does she enjoy theme parks just as much as you?
She loves it. She's who I got my Disney fanatics from, and my grandpa, her dad. We're just a big Disney family.
Oh, so it runs in y'all's DNA for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Oh my goodness. And you are, if you want to tell us where you're recording from and which park you typically go to.
Oh, yes. I'm recording from not so sunny Eugene, Oregon, up in the West Coast. I grew up
Oh, I
here.
thought you were in California.
I'm not. I have
Oh,
lived here my entire life. A- it's really weird that I've gone to Disney World more than Disneyland because I'm from the West Coast, but yeah, I'm from
oh,
Oregon. I don't get to see Sky and Armada that much. Last time I saw them was in October. When we went to do Oogie Boogie Bash.
oh my goodness. And I've seen the pictures, but you wanted to tell everybody what y'all's costumes were and
Oh
um
yes. So I did a gender bent version of the live action Cruella. If you haven't seen it, it's an amazing film. Please go watch it. I did her final Dalmatian look, with a little bit of a twist on it. Um, I did the normal petticoat that she wore with the Dalmatian spots and the half blackout, but I also put some red velvet on the inside because I wanted to get some classic Cruella back in there because I know classic Cruella definitely had a lot more red interpreted into her look, but I
yes,
wanted to bring
yes.
that in. And then Armida was gender bent Oogie Boogie. She has
Mm.
a beautiful neon green wig that glowed in the black light, which I was not expecting it to do.
Whoa,
Um,
that is so fun.
I know we got into the room with Oogie Boogie and there were black lights in there, and we have a picture of her before the lighting was adjusted, and like her
Uh-huh.
hair is just glowing. The room is
Oh,
dark,
that
but
is
her hair is glowing.
oh my goodness. That is so cool. And sidebar, speaking of moms and Oogie Boogie Bash, I did a whole episode with my mom and I took her to Oogie Boogie Bash for the very first one and she had no idea who Oogie Boogie was. We go into that room of art animation where he's doing his meet and greet
hmm
and or his treat trail and she sees him and she goes, "He's so cute." And I'm like, "Mom, have you even seen this movie?" She goes, "No, no, no." And I'm like, "Well, he's made of bugs and he's like a really bad guy." And so, but she thinks he's so adorable. And I mean, his meet and greet character is pretty cute, but
He is
she's a big
adorable.
Oogie Boogie fan. This
That's
just little
good.
belly. I just want to like pet it. Like he looks like a little cuddle ball. But anyway. Oh my gosh, I'm getting like the podcast crazies and just like talking nonsense. But anyway,
Oh, just
um,
wait.
and what did who did Skylar do?
Sky did a gender bent evil queen, so he was in purple. He had a crown. He had this really long flowing black cape that we actually had to pin to the collar of the shirt because at Oogie
Uh-huh.
Boogie Bash you're not supposed to have something that's like scraping the ground. or touching the ground for the
Oh,
costume. And so we
okay.
literally had to pin it to the collar of his shirt so that he wouldn't step on it and so it wouldn't just scrape on the ground all night.
Right, right, and that way too is probably, like, a safety hazard for him, like, someone stepping on
Mhm.
it and whatnot. Oh my goodness, that and Oogie Boogie Bash is so wonderful. I only went the one time, but are you a big fan of it as well?
I am such a fan. It's probably my favorite event that Disney actually does. Even though I'm a Disney World stan, Disney World is my home
Yes.
park. I love Oogie Boogie Bash with my entire being. Um,
Yes.
it was such an amazing experience, especially when I went dressed as Cruella, because Cruella has her treat trail. And there's
Yes.
just this 3-minute video that I have of just her and I interacting, and that's amazing.
Okay, we might need to bring you back on and do a whole dedicated Oogie Boogie Bash episode because this sounds like it's brewing to be a great story. But
Oh, I'm down for that.
perfect. Well, we'll bring you back on for sure. But so how did you meet Armida and Skylar to be on their podcast? How did that all
So
happen?
I actually saw him on TikTok, just making TikToks. I saw Sky on TikTok,
Mm,
and he was doing Disney TikToks, and I just started following him because I don't really have any Disney friends that live where I'm from. Like all my high school
mhm.
friends are like my theater friends, my music friends, but none of them have as close of an attachment to Disney as me.
Right.
So pretty much what it was I just saw Sky making Disney TikToks and I decided, hey, I'm gonna follow him. And then maybe a couple TikToks in, he was like, oh, I have a podcast. I was like, let's listen to the podcast. So I was literally just a listener from the beginning.
Oh.
Um, and it was just this thing that I listened to every time they posted a new podcast, every time him or Armida would make a TikTok. I was just there for it. I was a fan. And one day, Sky posted on his Instagram, hey, does anyone want to come to be on the podcast for an attraction rewind? Um, if you guys don't know what
Ooh.
an attraction rewind is a game that we play on Dream of Fantastic Dream, where we spin a wheel and we get two parks and then we have to mash them together. Or not two parks, two rides, and we have to mash them together
Oh.
somehow.
How fun. Oh my goodness. So
It's like
creative.
it's like the classic Dream of Fantastic Dream thing. Like when we have new people on, we're like, let's do Attraction Rewind. That's a classic. But yeah, Sky just said, does anyone want to be on it? I DM'd him on Instagram, was like, I'd love to be on it. I am a major Disney nerd. I used to work there, like yada yada yada, all this stuff. And he was like, yes, please come be on the episode tonight. And I was just starstruck. I was so nervous. I was like, do I cancel? Because in my head, these people were stars. These are A-listers to
Oh.
me because I've only been listening to them and
Right,
I've
right.
only ever been their fan. And to like be not in the same room, but like in the same Zoom link, the same Zoom class
Yes,
as them.
same recording. Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Oh,
I was
oh.
it was weird. It was so weird just being in it. Um but
Yes.
yeah, we clicked. That was back when we had a couple other hosts. But
Mhm.
we all clicked and one of the hosts decided that she wanted to focus on herself and that she wasn't going to do it anymore. And
Mhm.
because we clicked so well, Sky reached back out to me and he was like, hey, do you want to be on another episode? It's like,
Oh, so that first
yes, I would
episode
love
was
to be.
like your audition for
Kind
them as
of.
well.
And I didn't think anything was going to come of it. I thought it was just like, oh, we like this guy. He's fun to have on and he's funny. I thought that's where it was
Right.
going. And we get 3 or 4 episodes in and all of a sudden here's Sky and Armida being like, "Do you want to be our co-host? Do you want to be permanent on the podcast?" I was like, "I would love to be."
You're like, let me think about it. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. It was just this random chance that I took of, because normally I don't respond to people's Instagram stories at all. And it
Right,
was just
right.
this random thing that I was like, you know what? I'll say that I want to be on it. And I was expecting him to, get flooded with messages and flooded with people being like, I want to be on it. I was like, well, at least I tried. And I
Right,
wasn't
right.
nearly
Like,
expecting it
maybe
to
they'll
come to
pick
this.
me. Yeah.
Exactly. And now we're here. And Sky and Armida are two of my best Disney friends. And as people can see, I've visited them and we've gone to Disneyland together and we went to Oogie Boogie Bash.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's a wonderful story. And I've been able to meet you via Zoom and we're going to record an episode together. So, on my show and in your
Oh
all
yeah.
show. So that'll be so fun. But I'm just curious now, how often you get out to go to Disney World and then how often you get to go to Disneyland?
I don't actually go a lot, which I think surprises a lot of people, especially my close
Aw.
friends.
Hey, it's been
Cause
pretty expensive. So
oh yeah.
me who's lived there can say the same.
So I'm gonna give a little backstory to it because I always give the backstory for how much I used to go to Disney.
Aw.
Um, Back when my grandpa was younger, he was a sixth grade teacher, and
Mhm.
he loved Disneyland. He loved the idea of Disneyland. He loved everything about it because he, in his own right, is. If I were to say someone's a Walt guy, like my grandpa's a Walt guy.
Oh.
Like he gives the
Oh,
same
that's a different kind of
energy.
breed.
Yeah, he gives the same energy. He gives the same passion. He gives the same love that Walt did for a lot of things. Um,
Oh.
and he was just this sixth grade teacher, and way back when it was like a real cheap, every year he would take his class to Disneyland. And then when Disney World opened, I can't even imagine it. He started taking a class of 31 students with parent chaperones to Disney World from Oregon to Florida.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
It's
Wow.
it's a lot for
Impressive.
me to think about.
Oh my gosh,
um
even just getting like like I bet you probably feel the same way, like getting just even a group of people that are our age to organize and plan a trip and we all get together and all pull
oh
the
yeah.
money and figure out how to split it is quite a challenge in itself. And then mind you, 31 students with chaperones is whole nother
Oh yeah.
level. Dedication.
Exactly. Um
Oh my goodness.
so pretty much then my mom came along. And she was in his class. When she got old enough, she chaperoned the trips. Eventually it turned into, as I said, them going to Disney World. Um and that's kind of where my mom's love of Disney sprouted from, because her and grandpa,
Oh.
well, her and both of her parents are very close. Um but that's kind of where that real genuine love for Disney came from. Was she grew up with it. She was around it for most of her life. Like
Mhm.
that's where it came from. And that's kind of the same place that it came from for me too, because I was I was born and my grandpa said,
Ta-da!
"Okay, that's enough. I'm going to be a full-time grandpa," and he retired. And so my mom was just kind of on the page of, oh, well, he's probably not going to get to go to Disney because grandpa isn't doing these Disneyland trips anymore. He's not going to be his teacher, obviously. Um,
Mhm.
and he's not going to be able to go. But little did she know, grandpa had a different idea. And I went to Disney World every year since I was 5 until I was 18, 19. So
Wow.
I've been there a lot. I've spent over a year of my life on the Disney World property, and that's crazy to think about as me, like a 23-year-old, spending over a year of my
Oh.
life just on Disney World property.
Oh my goodness. And That is a ton of time, like, usually people grow up, they'll do that one trip with their family, and
Mhm.
then if they their love grows, they'll try to get out as often as they can once they're, of age and making their own money kind of thing, but still, like,
Mhm.
especially with the cost of everything, it's been a little more challenging, but yeah, that is
Mhm.
amazing. So much time there.
My Disneyland experience is not nearly as much. I've been to Disneyland maybe 6 times.
Oh, that is a
6 times for,
complete
like,
difference.
3 days.
Not even a
Yeah.
whole week.
No. May maybe 6
Uh,
times.
oof.
I might be adding a couple times that don't exist, actually.
So we need to get you back there. That's what it sounds
Yes.
like to me. I
My
love that.
my mom was on the page of it costs because from where we are, it costs the same to fly way back when. It costed the same to fly from Portland Airport to LA as it did from Portland to Orlando. And her and
Well, you
grandpa
might
liked
as
Disney
well.
World better. Exactly.
Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So they're like, he's gonna spend most of his time in Disney World.
I love that. I love that. So when you say you have a family and like that loves Disney, like for me, like my family, my dad and mom appreciate Disney, but neither one of them love it as much as I do. Like I'm definitely like the standout one that loves it, and like also you said
Hmm.
like growing up in like a hometown and stuff, like you're that go-to Disney person. Like I
Hmm.
didn't start meeting Disney friends till I moved outside Disneyland or moved to Orlando. So I totally know what you mean in that regard as well. But yeah, that is such a cool story. Is there anything else you want to add before I ask you a couple questions?
Um, I kind of want to go off of what you just said, where you're like the
Of
standout
course.
Disney person.
Of
Um,
course, go for it.
I say that the nuts slowly got nuttier as we go down the family tree, because
Yes.
my grandpa loves Disney. Like he
Yeah.
has some Disney stuff in his house. He has some decor. Like he has the basic stuff. And then there's my mom. She doesn't have decor because my dad, bless his heart, uh, isn't the biggest fan of Disney. Uh,
Oh.
they're
So he kind
they're
of
the
vetoed some of
definition.
the
Exactly.
Oh.
They're the definition of opposites attract. And
So cute.
so so she decided to do it a different way, and she actually has a Mickey tattoo on her ankle. Um
Awesome. I
yeah.
love it.
And then it got to me, and as the YouTube viewers can see, as you can see, I'm covered with Disney memorabilia. My house is a Disney house. I have an Epcot wall in my living room.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. And for those that are listening, he's got cool Loungefly and ears and it looks like pictures and figurines and stuff like that. Like I was
Mhm.
admiring it before we even started recording. I'm like, I spy a Maleficent Loungefly. I need that looks so beautiful and I want it.
And I'm also covered in Disney, not covered, but I have like 5 or 6 Disney tattoos. Like this is one of them.
Oh, beautiful. What does it say? It's a little hard to
It
read.
says it all started with a mouse
That's so cool with like little pixie dust
with
outlines and
pixie
oh
dust.
my
Yeah. It's in like the traditional Disney font. Well, it's in like bold Disney font, but it's Disney
mhm.
font with like the pixie dust sparkles and yeah.
Oh my gosh. So again, like you said, the nuts get nuttier.
The nut got nuttier, exactly.
The nut got nuttier. That is amazing. So you're even though you're not living in a state that has a Disney theme park, you are a true fan. And I love that.
Yes.
Oh my
Thank you.
gosh. Anything else you want to add before we move on? Because
I
you
th-
had some great stuff.
I think that's it. I've been
Okay.
rambling.
No, I absolutely love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that background with us. It's absolutely wonderful. But and you probably already kind of touched on this, but this is the first question I ask every single guest that comes on the show. But why
Mhm.
do you love theme parks?
I I surprisingly wouldn't say that I love theme parks. I think I
Okay.
just solely like Disney because I grew up with it. Um,
Mhm.
I don't have anything against theme parks. Like I love a good ride, but I'm definitely
Mhm.
not like a big like thrill seeker or anything. I'm
Gotcha.
gonna take that back actually. I do like theme
Oh,
parks.
oh.
I'm just Disney is
You're
the
biased.
safe place. Yes, I'm biased.
Yes,
Um
biased.
o- Occasionally I'll like the good like Busch Gardens in Tampa Bay where it's like all the giant roller coasters or like the Hulk at Universal. Like I like some thrillers
Ooh.
sometimes, but Disney's that go-to where it's just this is peace.
Right. Yes. I was chatting with somebody else, and I think this applies to you, so tell me if you agree. I think that for us kids growing up, the nostalgia falls with Disney because that's, like, honestly the main provider
Mhm.
and children animated entertainment for probably the longest time, and now you got kids growing up with DreamWorks and a bunch of other great creators and whatnot. So the competition is fierce out there, so our nostalgia is a lot different than kids today's nostalgia. So I think that's why Disney kind of is our fallback and our, like we were saying, biased one, whereas later on that could
Mhm.
change, and that's where, like, I mentioned to somebody else too. I was like, we're young adults at a great time if we're theme park fans, because you got the Universal and Disney competition, and we're just here eating it up, seeing all the new creations that they can come up with. So
Exactly.
all right. So my next question is, and this is a tough one, so take your time. Not necessarily your favorite character, but what character do you most identify with that you are the most similar to?
Oh. Oh, you said similar to, and then my answer changed.
Who do you want to say?
I wanna say Winnie the Pooh. I really wanna say Winnie the Pooh
Oh.
because I feel like I have always felt like that friend who's, like, kinda ditzy and is just bubbly and there for the fun times, but I also hit people with the really deep thoughts sometimes because
Oh.
I know Pooh definitely does that a couple times, with Christopher
Yes.
Robin, where he really gives
Okay.
that good thinker, but most of the time he's just very ditzy, very bubbly. He's like, "I'm here because I get to be here."
Yes, I love him too, and I would say, like, he's optimistic. And have you seen the new Chris, or not new? It's not new at this point, but the live action Christopher Robin?
Mhm.
I will say Christopher Robin does not deserve Pooh. Pooh is too dang good for him. Like, Christopher Robin treats him like garbage. I'm like, Pooh is just trying to be helpful, and he just wants a red balloon, and just let him like, when he said, like, "Oh, do you need a red balloon?" And he's like, "No, I don't need one, but I would very, very much like one." And it's like, I just
It's
love
like, "Get
that.
this bear a red balloon."
Like, I will die to get Pooh a red balloon. Like, I can't. I can't. It's so good. Oh my gosh. But I can see that. Just a brief talking with you, you're very cheerful and optimistic and just seem like a really good friend. So I think that'd
Oh,
be
thank you.
wonderful. Awesome. And so my next question is, if you could go on any retired Disney attraction, and whether you've been on it before or not, what would it be and why?
Oh, Sky and Armida know this answer already.
Oh, share, share. So you've thought about
Mm,
this for a while.
I want the great movie ride back.
Yes! Yes, yes,
I
yes! Oh!
I love the Great Movie Ride. The Great Movie Ride was my original love, and I want her back.
Oh my gosh, I am currently sending you episode 93. I literally just put out an episode, um, at the time of this recording, of a cast member who was excuse me, bubbles, working the Great Movie Ride, and said how great it was. That sounds silly. How great the Great Movie Ride was. But I missed that ride too. It was so good. And honestly, they could have put Mickey and Minnie's anywhere. Why did
Yeah.
they have to take out the Great Movie Ride? upset
I
about
know. I'm
it.
I'm upset about it. That was the ride that really made me want to do my college program, and then I got shut
Oh,
down.
no. And have you done the college program?
I did do the college program. Well, not unfortunately, because I had a great time while I was there, but I was part of the program that got sent home from Miss Rona.
Oh, gotcha. Miss Rona.
Hmm.
I had a friend that was a Jungle Cruise skipper, like a very great role, and she got let go because of that too. So, which role did you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I was gonna be a Jungle Cruise skipper. I
Stop. Wait, you didn't even make it down there yet?
it was a very strong hunch. I'm not positive, but it's the story I'm sticking with because
Oh my.
my person interview that I had, cuz I'm a major theater nerd and I've done theater all of high school, all of college. Like I think if my college could have given me a degree in theater, it would have ended up being
Mhm.
a degree in theater. Um
Ooh.
because I've taken so much theater. And I told my interviewer that and I talked about it the entire time, and I told her how much I love doing monologues and everything. And then when I got
Wink,
accepted,
wink.
exactly. When I got accepted, I was placed at Magic Kingdom Attractions Adventureland.
Hmm.
And I was like, so I was gonna be a Jungle Cruise skipper.
I
Um,
can believe that. Oh my goodness. And you could have met
but
my
I ended
friend.
yeah.
I think she was
But I
it was either 2 weeks or a month and a half. Like, it was a very short time she was there before
mhm.
everything happened. Oh my
I
gosh.
but I ended up going to an audition up in Seattle, Washington, for
Ooh.
the character performer, and it was I was a character performer while I was there.
Oh, what? That is so
Yeah.
cool. Can you say who you were friends with and like to hang out with?
I was I loved hanging out with Baloo. I was
Oh.
also good friends with Wreck-It Ralph.
Whoa.
It was kind of short-lived because I have an ongoing injury from when I was like a little boy. That made
Oh.
it hard to be friends with Wreck-It Ralph. Because my back would tense up and like I wouldn't be able to move.
Right,
And
right.
it was realized that Baloo and I stood back to back, and I was just a little bit taller than him. So I didn't see Baloo as much after that. Um,
Oh.
so one day they were just kind of like, well, you're a bit too tall, so we're probably going to have you not be a character performer.
Oh no.
But I finished my training, and then they kept me in entertainment, and I was a character attendant for the rest of my time there.
Okay,
And that
okay. So
was
you still
also a
got
great
to.
time.
Yeah, I feel like character attendants and character hosts, they have a very tough job, but they get to be helpful in the interactions and stuff, especially if they're for characters, and help speak for the characters and whatnot. So I
Yeah.
think that's wonderful. A question I like to ask character hosts while I'm literally waiting in line for a character at times, I ask, what is your favorite character to host or hang out with and stuff?
I love hanging out with Tinkerbell. She
Oh, why is
was
that?
great. I I think it was because I attended her so much, cuz I
Uh-huh.
worked my home park was Magic Kingdom. So I was
Ooh.
in there a lot, and it wasn't even just Tinkerbell. It was the shift that it was a breaker shift initially, where I gave Tinkerbell's normal attendant break, Mickey's normal attendant break. I think it was Buzz
Oh.
Lightyear, Stitch, back to Tinkerbell, back to Mickey, back to Tinkerbell.
Oh, how fun. So you
And
were just kind of like bebopping around that section of area backstage and whatnot. Oh,
exactly.
cool. Very
So
nice.
so even though the entire shift wasn't with Tinkerbell, I
Huh?
I I love. There's something about face characters that hold a special place in my heart. Maybe it's because I
Oh.
get to talk with them and I don't have to do all the talking. But a
Mhm.
Tinkerbell was probably my favorite. I loved
Right.
hanging
Oh
out with
my
Tinkerbell.
goodness. I love when she can get a little sassy and spicy and, boop her little
Hmm.
bun and kind of thing. And is this when her character spot was in Town Hall or back when it was in Adventureland
It
in
was
this?
Town Hall
Okay,
after,
okay.
yeah, after the revamp. That's also why I loved hanging out with Tinkerbell, is because I got to um one of the other people that I gave a break was her pixie duster, which is the ones who throw the pixie dust and make the door appear
Oh,
to shrink
very
everyone. Yeah, it's the one that shrinks everyone down to fairy size and
oh.
helps them get to Tinkerbell. And
Yes.
I loved that spot because I got to throw pixie dust. I got to make the magic happen.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool. And I haven't done that meet and greet in quite a long time. And back when I was a college program, it was back in Adventureland. She had her spot and with her fairy friends and whatnot. And that would be so cool. Oh my goodness. All right. I got one good question for you. Um, and then we've just had such good conversations. I'm like, oh yeah, I have one more question to ask. Okay, so my last question is, what attraction would you be devastated if they demolished it during your lifetime? Updates, improvements are acceptable though.
Ooh, um,
It's
Skylar may
tough.
to
I
know this
like to
answer too.
I like asking the tough questions.
Oh yeah, so do I. You'll hear it on our podcast that I
Ooh, I'm
also have
ready.
some hard hitting questions.
I love it. I love it.
Um, it's a tie between two because I can never
Okay.
ever pick between the two. If either of them disappeared, I think I would die. And it's Spaceship Earth and Living with the Land. Because as much as I'm
Ooh.
23, I'm an 80-year-old man, and Spaceship Earth and Living with the Land are my absolute favorites. You can refurb them as much as you want. You can close them down temporarily as much as you want. But if Living with Land or Spaceship Earth gets ripped out, I'm I'm tying myself to them like a protester. You ain't taking it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I know you mentioned updates and stuff, but what did you think of like the complete ride transformation? I wouldn't even say an update, a transformation that they were going to do. They announced before COVID for Spaceship Earth. Like, what were your thoughts on that? Because I was a little like, because I'm a big lover of Spaceship Earth as well, and I was like, I
Hmm.
don't know about this.
I cried. I cried a little bit. Um,
Oh
Initially I was like, this is good, we're gonna get a revamp and we're gonna get new scenes and like stuff like that. But then I went on it for what I thought was my last time on the last day that I was in Epcot on my college program, and I wrote it and I was fine. I stepped out and I started sobbing, and the cast members
no.
were like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, I just love this ride.
Oh.
And they
Oh
didn't
my
then they didn't do it, and I was like, well, I cried for nothing. Great.
like not wasted tears. Well, Jared, thank you so much for answering all of those questions and giving your family backstory of your Disney fandom and whatnot and all your trips and whatnot. So, but now I'll let you take the floor and share your most magical moment. So,
So my most magical moment is from when I was about I want to say I was 7, between 7 and 10. I don't remember the
mhm.
exact year. Um but it was my first time going to California Grill. For those of you who don't know where California Grill is, It is in the Contemporary Hotel, which is one of the hotels next to Magic Kingdom. You go into the Contemporary and you go up to the top floor, and California Grill is the entire top floor. And it has firework viewing access and roof access and all that stuff to see the Magic Kingdom. And this is my first time ever being there because my mom and my grandpa said, we think he's old enough. We're going to take him to this nice, fancy meal and we're going to watch the fireworks. And one of this, it's going to sound weird. This story is more of uh, not really a memory for me, but more of a story because um, from like I don't know, 8 and before, I just have all of these pictures that I've seen about my life and my family members being like, this was your first birthday and was like this is what how you got injured when you were 3 and like all
Oh,
these stories with pictures that I'm like, cool. These aren't memories because I don't remember my first birthday, but I know exactly what happened to my first birthday.
yes,
And
I've felt the same with like, oh, I and you can regurgitate the story because people have told you so many times, but like you truly
mhm.
don't remember. So I think everybody at some point has a few of those where like, oh yeah, that's the one time the neighbor's dog chased me down the street or something because there's a picture of it or pictures to help
Yeah.
bring the memories back. So yes, I totally know what you mean. Yes.
So this story is fully third person. um but I had this little Pegasus, like baby Pegasus stuffed animal from it was the Hercules Pegasus when he was a little claw ball right after he got turned into a Pegasus, and it was just
Oh.
this itty bitty little Pegasus stuffed animal. And we had gone in on that trip, and I carried it with me everywhere. Everywhere. We did not leave
Oh.
it in the hotel. My mom could not tell me anything about it. Um,
Oh my goodness.
and so of course I took it with us to this really nice upscale restaurant because I was
I mean, Pegasus
8
wants to experience
something.
it too.
Exactly. Pegasus wants to experience everything.
Yes.
And I just have these pictures of me holding this Pegasus with my mom and then with my grandpa with the Magic Kingdom fireworks going off in the background because we were out on the patio watching the fireworks. And as much as this isn't a memory and this is a story, um, when I look at those pictures, I still feel that magic because when I go to Disney, I still feel like I'm that size. I still feel like I'm this little 8-year-old with my mom and with my grandpa and we're because we've done Disney the same since I was little. And I love that because I'm all about consistency. Um and stability and that is my comfort, so I love doing Disney the same way. um
Oh.
but those pictures remind me of why I fell in love with Disney in the first place and why my relationship with my grandparents and with my mom is so strong and such an important part of my life. Like I have her favorite color tattooed on my tricep cuz I have two Mickey balloons that are tied together and the tie is a little heart and one of them is purple, which is my favorite color, and the other one is teal, which is my mom's favorite color. and
Aw.
and the sparkles on this tattoo I made very specific because there's three big ones, but there's like a big one, and then like a medium one, and then like a smaller big one.
Right.
And I did that on purpose to represent my mom, my grandpa, and I, because it was just them passing down the magic. So whenever I see those pictures, it's always like, this is why I fell in love with Disney, and this is why my relationship with my family is so important to me because without them, I don't think Disney would be the same. I don't think I'd have a similar relationship with Disney that I do now. I'm not
Oh,
trying to make you cry.
it's so beautiful. It's, like, so sweet, like, I there's, like, a couple episodes where people have gotten me to cry, and that is just so beautiful, it's like, I feel it welling up, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness," and oh my gosh, and I know you said you're only 23, but do you plan to, pass these traditions down to your future kids or whatnot?
If they happen, yes.
Okay,
um
okay. Not trying to put any
I'm
pressure on you or anything.
Oh no, my mom will listen to this and text me and be like, "She's got a good idea. Have children." Because I've told her
All moms do.
I've been like, "I don't know if I want kids." And she's like, "Of course you want kids, because I want grandkids, Jared. I want grandkids."
Right, right. It's like, WandaVision subliminal messaging for the children. Da, 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 da.
Exactly.
Oh, well, that is beautiful. And what were some, like, classic things that you guys would always do? I know you mentioned stability and, you couldn't imagine
Mhm.
not going without them, and so what does a typical trip with you guys look like? Is there certain rides you have to hit and certain things you gotta do?
It's more so the way the day is set up. When it comes to like restaurants and the rides and the parks, I'm pretty let's go with the flow, but I need to have it planned out. I need the calendar, and I like the way that my grandpa all those years ago set up the day. And I still
Uh-huh.
stand by this. I did an episode on my podcast that's just all my travel tips. And this is
Oh.
my number one travel tip. Um
Oh.
the way the way that I do Disney and the way that my mom and my grandpa do Disney is we will rope drop in the morning, and then sorry, around like noon or 1, we'll go back to the hotel and relax for a couple hours, like go down to the
Ooh.
pool, go take a nap, like something so that we don't get burnout. And then we
There's
always have like a sit down dining reservation for dinner, and we'll go do that, and then we'll park hop to another park. And that's
ah.
how our days are always crafted, and that's the way that I've always done it, and that's the way that I still think is the best way to do Disney and not get burnout.
Yes, as someone who's gone to both parks for years, especially the last recent years, that seems wonderful because, like you said, theme park burnout is such a thing, and
Mhm.
it's always hard getting up in the morning on your fourth day of your trip after doing that so
Mhm.
many back to back to back, and I think, having a relaxing afternoon when it's peak time, when everybody's finally up and everybody's, it's the hottest part of the day, the everybody's finally there. That's when you're leaving, I think is a great because you can knock out so many rides first thing in the morning than you can if you started later in the day and then was there the whole rest of the time. So I think that is some brilliant advice. I definitely want to try that on my next trip for sure. 'Cause I will say I've, like, wanted to do that, but then, like, the theme park person in me has been like, "Well, what if I miss no, I'll be fine." And then when it comes to, like, 10 o'clock and the park's open till 1, I'm like, "I'm exhausted, but, like, I need to get my money's worth." And, like, what you sound like you're doing sounds like a wonderful trip, and, like, I would love to join you guys because that sounds perfect.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Is there anything else you want to share?
Right now, it's kind of spotty because grandma and grandpa are getting older, um,
Mhm.
and I'm working full time. And so it's one of those things where it's like my mom could go if she wants to, but she wants us
Mhm.
to go with her. And I don't
Aw.
have the money. And grandma and grandpa are like, that's too much energy. But we ain't got
Yeah.
that anymore.
Oh no. Well, hopefully you
So
guys plan something soon and
I've been
go.
trying to tell my mother because last time I went, it turned into just a her and I trip because we were originally going to go with my sister. Um, and she ended up canceling, and so it just turned into a mom and I trip that was so fun. It was so fun. Um, and I've been being like, Mom, we need to go on another trip. Mom.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope that happens soon. And I would love for you to come back on and hear all about it again. But before we close out the show, is there anything else you want to add? And also, where can people find you and follow along on your adventures?
Oh yes. If people want to follow me, they definitely can. I'm gonna say right now, I do not post nearly as much as my co-hosts. So
Hey, it's okay.
if you want people who post a lot, go follow them. If you just want to see, oh, that funny boy, my
That silly old bear. Poor
exactly.
bear. Aw.
My Instagram is just my name. It's Jerad Covert. It's Jerad. It's pretty much the normal way you spell Jared, but it's backwards. The vowels are backwards.
Yes.
And then Covert is Covert. My TikTok is it's me, Jared Covert. So ITSME
Mm.
and then my name again. Um, like I said, I don't post a lot, but when I post good stuff.
Oh, good.
Because
It's quality
I'm
over quantity. That's fair.
exactly. Also, I
Well,
don't get there
Jared,
nearly as much as a lot of people.
hey, it is okay. Well, I cannot wait to hear about next time you end up going to any park, whether it be Disneyland or Disney World. And Jared, seriously, it has been such a delight to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that magical moment. So, thank
Thank you
you.
for having me. It's been good to talk.